The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Right, Phil, you going to speak, mate?
The intro has been messing up at this end the whole time, so hopefully,
how very unprofessional.
The Gremlins are out to get us tonight, mate. You know, Russell's not here tonight. I'm obviously hosting it. I've had to step in. David's having all sorts of problems. I'm going to add him back in a second. The intros it was playing was stalling constantly. So, yeah, we're off to a great start. But don't worry, folks, because the Boise Bus is here. So, as usual, I'll start with, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday night. So, you know where the place to be. Right here on the Boise Bus. The Thursday Night Forum is here for your Celtic fix. Because, yeah, it's a bit quiet these days around here. Obviously, with the World Cup going on, you know, the Celtic chat, we're going to need to be relying heavily on the chat tonight because it's a bit quiet in Celtic land, but don't worry, we'll fill an hour of your time at the very least. And I'm going to try and add David as well because I say David has had some issues so far. So, David Lowe, can you hear us, mate? He's moving smoothly.
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me all right?
Perfect.
You go and buy yourself a nice new microphone and the whole world just falls apart in front of you. Honestly, you just can't write it. We're getting that returned.
The Gremlins are out to get tonight, man. I say everything's going wrong tonight, but the bus is here somehow in one piece. We've rolled up to the bus stop. So everyone get aboard. Come on, get over, get a seat right now. Grab your tickets and let's get going on this one. But before we do, you know what I'm going to say. You know what's coming next. I'd like to remind everybody about all that good stuff, all the stuff that helps the channel out. So obviously, if you're new to the Boise Bus, first time you stumbled across this channel, then hit the subscribe button if you like the content. Over 3,000 people have done so far, and we value every single one of them, and we cannot thank them enough because it is a phenomenal feeling when you know that people endorse what you're doing. So hit that subscribe button if you like what we're doing. Also, if you are a subscriber, long-time subscriber, hit that like button. What's your excuse? Come on, you know the drill, guys. Hit the like button. Helps us with the algorithm. Of course, tonight, especially on this one, the T.N.F, we need the comments to be busy. Very, very busy tonight. So obviously get involved in our live chat section. And of course, if you wish to share it on social media to spread word of the bus, then again, we massively, massively appreciate it. So yeah, guys, after we've now ironed out all of the gremlins in this show, let's get started, guys, on the old T.N.F. and let's see what Celtic chat we can talk about tonight. So first of all, since we were last on, because obviously it's been a bit of a quiet week in terms of like shows we've put out, we've got a signing mark officially, just like last year, a bit reminiscent. there's a signing that's been announced before the January windows even opened. Yuki Kobayashi is going to become our latest Japanese import, a left-sided centre-back as far as we know as well, which is quite a rare commodity in the game to find. It's something that we probably need because, as we've seen with Starfelt, it's a bit uncomfortable on the left-hand side. Jens has done not too bad there, but it will bring good balance to the back line, won't it?
Well, I think that's the beauty about the Japanese market is this season seems to end at, I think it's December, so we seem to kind of snap up the talent in that league, and it just suits us. It goes into the January transfer window, and it gives us a good head start because I think this boy can join on the 1st of December, but he can't play until the 1st of January. But it gives him 4 weeks of bedding in period. Also gives him 4 weeks to kind of get used to the culture of Scotland without having the high intensity of the media on him straight away, the fans on him, just dying to get a glimpse of him. So we all kind of know where he's at. He plays on the left-hand side of defence, so that's interesting. That's interesting because it makes you wonder what's happening in defence. I'm going to assume that Jens is obviously for the chop, but he's not done enough for Ange to convince that he's going to be staying, or they're going to let go of either Welsh or Starfelt. I don't think Ange would bring a guy from the other side of the world to sit in and be third choice. I really don't. I think Ange has really definitely brought this guy in with a promise of at least a chance of game time. So it's quite exciting for the Celtic fans. It could be a January that starts busy for the club and just pitters out. That's the way I like it. I don't like the transfer activity to be done in the last week or the last day of the window just because it looks exciting for Jim White to be wearing a yellow tie. And I'd rather get them in early, get them in there, get them signed, get them training with the squad and ready for the big game that's coming ahead. And we need to use this wee period we've got. For the next 3 weeks we've got off. Get the guys back for a holiday, go to the training camp in Portugal, get the transfer targets in early, and let's kick on and win this league.
Aye, indeed. David, what about yourself, mate? What are you feeling regarding the Kobayashi signing, and are you hopeful that we're going to see a similar transfer window to a year ago?
I'm excited about the signing, definitely. It's very reminiscent to last year, so I think he set the tone there of getting players in early, and I think that's going to continue. I'd be lying if I knew anything about the boy, but from what I have read about him, being a left-sided centre half, which is obviously what we sorely do need. I say sorely do need. I think Starfelt does a good job considering he is obviously more comfortable on the right. I think from what I managed to see of the friendly games in Australia, he played obviously on his favoured right-hand side, and I thought he looked really solid, to be fair. So I almost feel a bit sorry for him that he's having to play his game on his probably least favoured side. Whether this boy coming in means that Starfelt takes a back seat. Maybe the concern of Starfelt is maybe a bit too injury prone and can't be relied upon obviously on a full season. I think Jens is not going to be getting signed, if I'm being honest. I thought Jens came in quite brightly, but I'm not sure if I'm fully convinced on Jens. I don't think he's a bad player at all. Don't get me wrong. Like he's done a fine job, but he's clearly third choice with Starfelt coming back, and I think he wouldn't be necessarily missed if this Japanese boy is going to come in and maybe take the first choice, the left hand side. I think most of our goals that we have conceded have been from Jens's. Maybe a mistake from Jens. If from the goals that I remember, one of my mates who always mentioned me, that was Jens again, and he's the same as me, just a wee bit concerned. Doesn't not rate him, just I think he is quite firmly seen as the third choice, and maybe he could be fourth choice if Welsh does leave and we do sign Jens. But the fact that a centre half is coming in and we've got this boy on loan with no option to buy, as far as I'm aware, I think maybe Ange's seen enough that he thinks that Jens can probably go back to. Is it a club in Belgium we got him from, or is it
France? I think.
France? From France.
I find there is an option to buy though, and what's interesting.
Is there an option to buy?
Yeah. What was interesting for me is the fact that Ange quoted that he was a left-sided centre back. He never mentioned we've signed a player. He actually quoted, "It's hard to get a left-sided centre back. We've signed one." Now, I went through this on Sunday's show. I look at our front line, and even as far back as Callum McGregor, and they all play, I would say, dual roles. I mean, Haksabanovic can play 3 or 4 positions. I think Jota can play 2 minimum. Abada can play 2 or 3. Hugo is probably marginalised, and so is Kyogo. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, they'll get their own. Sorry, I mean, in their own bracket. I think they two are totally different for the rest of the front 5, if you want to call them that. It's quite interesting that he actually named that guy's position. I didn't think he would ever go and tie somebody into a position like that. And I don't think it was an accident. I think he has. He's set out to. He's probably told his scouting team, "I want you to watch this guy. He's developing at a rate that I think is good enough for my team. He's out of contract soon, and he's definitely targeted that left-sided area." I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I think, see you at the 2 full-back positions. I think Greg Taylor is very disciplined, and so is. And I know I'm not just saying this, but I think Ralston's disciplined too. Maybe it's a lack of confidence in certain areas of the park, but they seem to not get lost in behind quite a lot. They seem to have their man. Whether they've got the ability or the speed to track their man is a totally different issue, but they don't get caught out very often, right? And it's quite interesting that the first place he went to was a left-sided centre-back. Now, I know there is talks of a Canadian coming in at right as a right-back. I think that we all know Juranovic has got 1 foot out the door anyway, I think. So that kind of confirms that, the fact that Celtic are getting quoted to be in deep talks with an international that's playing the World Cup. That tells you he's away. But quite interesting, is this the evolution of the team? Is this how we're going to evolve? Is this the next level? Is this the steps to the next level taking place? Are they taking shape just now? Are we seeing these players who we are comfortable with having as a number ones and we're quite content? Is he up in the ante with them all? Is he saying, look...
Maybe.
Now, I'll just tell you a quick point on David's point with Jens. My dad is shit scared of Jens. My dad thinks Jens is a bomb scare. So I think I don't even know what David's talking about. He's spot on. You see a lot of goals. He is in the picture. If you look at the camera, you'll see there's always certain players that are always in camera shot when we load goals. And he's one of them, unfortunately. I was quite excited about the guy. I thought he was an excellent passer of the ball. It turns out he can't pass the ball as well as I thought he can. And I think David's right. I think Jens is probably going to be told at the end of the window, at the end of the season, that thanks for your services. And also, I think it's going to be next season, or at least this summer, is going to be a very interesting one for Stephen Welsh in his Celtic career.
Yeah,
he's either going to be put on loan to a club that's going to progress him into a first-team player for us, or he's just going to be the next Darno Day. You know what I mean? Thanks for the... It's a Celtic tap to tell your wains that you play for Celtic, but at the end of the day, you're not good enough.
I could see Welsh maybe being loaned out in January as soon as that, because if all of them stay fit, then we've got 5 centre backs, and realistically,
Italian club will come back in for him. I think an Italian, remember, was it Indonesia that came in for him in the summer and they knocked him back?
I think we have
an option to put him out on loan.
I think the reason was Scots. You've got to have so many homegrown players.
That's true.
And I think that's why Celtic knocked back the Stephen Welsh deal. I don't think Ange had any inkling playing Stephen Welsh in any important games for Celtic, and I think he was kept because we needed numbers for the Scottish contingent, unfortunately, mate. And it's a stupid rule, but that's my opinion on that one, guys.
It's James McCarthy. The rumour was he was kept around for that as well because he counts as homegrown. And the thing is, you see it down in England. That's why you see some careers of like English players, like when Scott Sinclair went to Man City, Ross Barkley to Chelsea. That kind of stifles their career. They're on the up, and then a big team takes away, and you think, oh, that's a big move for them. But they're literally getting signed to meet the quota of homegrown like English players for their Champions League squads. That's why a lot of these transfers happen. So it can have a stifling effect on some players' careers for that one, but with Welsh, there's a good chance that's it, and that's definitely one of the cases with McCarthy as well. Other than the fact probably nobody wanted McCarthy as well, but it does help that he ticks a box of, well, he's a homegrown player technically because he's developed at Hamilton Accies, obviously, and he's Scottish born, so that would qualify that one.
How many do you need again? How many? Because if you look at our
not played
team,
Football
you've got-
Manager in a while, David, so I'm not quite sure. That always taught me the rules when you go to register your squad at the start of the season. Until you need X amount of homegrown. I think it was 8 or something like that. Or
Is it as
Oh,
much as
maybe
8?
it's that.
Okay. I was good. I thought it was maybe 4 or 5. So I was aware this.
somebody in the comments will tell us. Somebody in the comments will definitely come in and tell us.
If you go through our team, you've got James Forrest, you've got Greg Taylor, you've got Callum McGregor, Anthony
Ralston. Aye.
Is that it? At the top of my head, am I missing somebody else? Did you say MacArthur counts as a homegrown player as well? Yeah.
Wouldn't the Scott Bain count?
Scott Bain as well.
Scott Bain.
Yeah, so
Scott
we've got
Bain.
quite a. So I don't know if that would have been a reason why he didn't. I just wonder if we didn't really know the extent of Starfelt's injury at the time in the summer. He got injured on international duty, and how long is he going to be out for? I think he was out longer than we expected. So maybe that was that. Maybe
So that leaves
can't
one
really
centre
afford
back,
to.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Aye.
and we let Beaton leave in the summer too. So.
No, Beaton's back. He's just baldy now and looks like
he's Australian now. Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
And do you know something? I'm a dubious guy. You know, I'm quite a cynic. I just can't get my calculator out and work out the real reason why Tom Rogic left Celtic. It can't be for a World Cup place because it's not happened.
Yep.
It can't be for family issues because he's in England now. I don't think it's because he get bored of winning titles and playing the Champions League. I don't think he get bored of playing in front of the best fans in the world. You know what I mean? I really don't. I don't know what happened there. I'd take him back in January if that's an option. So I would. Beaton as well. I thought he was a funny man. I mean, the only thing about Beaton going was it kind of guaranteed that there would be no Beaton come the Champions League games. But it said that. I mean, he's a great come back, didn't he? Like a boomerang. So you never know these things.
Well, we had no qualifiers to play, Mark, so there's no need for Neil Beaton to be around in the pre-season because that was his role for the last few years, popping up in qualifiers.
Was a deal breaker, mate. That was his.
Maybe, aye, potentially. Well, we'll take a first comment question tonight because this is quite relevant because this is one that comes up when we talk about transfers and again it goes back to the forwards. Now, David, I know that you and the judge here have had a little sort of sporting bet essentially on one Daisen Maeda. Now, at the World Cup the other day, Maeda started as a lone striker for Japan against Germany because obviously Murphy's saying we definitely need a forward this window, boys. What do you think? So again, it goes back to this. Does Ange actually consider that Maeda is a sort of unofficial third forward? Because he literally played up front by himself for Japan. And I know Japan went on to win the game after Maeda went off the park. They actually scored their goals after he'd gone off. But David, what did you make of Maeda's performance against that German defence where he was on the park?
I mean, he was quite isolated as a lone striker, but I think the manager made the right decision of starting him. I think for the game plan. The game plan was they knew that Germany were going to have a lot of the ball. They're very quick on the counter attack. According to reports in Japan, Maeda has the fastest feet in all of Japan. So he is the quickest player in their team apparently. So I understand why he started. He gets himself about. He runs about like a maniac, and he presses and he puts Germany under pressure when he could. If he would just learn the offside rule, we'd have some player on our hands.
Yeah.
Because I was so frustrated because I was proper cheering on Japan yesterday. I really wanted them to do well. I really wanted Maeda to do well. And when he ran so quickly, he was so eager to score. He actually has to look over his shoulder back the way to see where the ball is because he's that far past the defender. I'm like, that surely tells you you're miles offside.
Yep.
Like, get back on. If he just times his run better, he's scoring that goal still. It was a great finish. I was just screaming at the telly because I was so frustrated for him because I was going to count that as one of his goals for the season.
That's right. How many is it you've bet with what we said to Mark? How many? 20 you reckon you'll get?
I said he'll get 20 overall. 20 overall in all competitions this season. He's 17 to go.
Yeah, almost. What yourself, Mark? What do you think? Maeda, do you think he is the unofficial third striker, or do we still need something better or different?
No, I'll answer this very, very quickly. Is he fuck another striker? You know what I mean? I'm quite happy for like guys like David and all that. That's a bit of fun, you know what I mean? They kind of get to have a wee favourites. No, that's great. David kind of tongue in cheek bet me he'll score 20 goals. But the prize is, I'm pretty sure the prize is a year's free haircuts in his barbers, which is pretty good. So I'm pretty hoping I'll get that victory, mate, for my friends and family as well. I didn't see the match yesterday, but I did get a text off one of you on the chat saying it was a mile offside. Even my dad said the same thing. It was very offside. Maybe listen, see on his defence, he's probably just seen the lights and saw I'm scoring the World Cup here. You know what I mean? And
he's eager to score.
Concentrating. I don't know if I'm wrong here, but I just can't picture him being offside quite a lot for Celtic. Is he offside? I think he normally holds the line pretty good for Celtic. Does he know?
I think he's also playing out wide a lot of times for us, so it's maybe a bit different there. But he was basically a lone striker up top himself through the middle, so they timed it a little bit wrong with the cross coming in at the back post. Good finish. It was a good finish.
See when you run that fast though, as David just said, he's the fastest man in 2 legs. See you run that fast, see a half a second, that could be 4 strikes to him. You know what I mean? So the camera might look like he's well offside, but he's maybe just went a half a second too early. You know what I mean? When you go that fast, you know what I mean? That's it. Charles, mate, I don't want to give away any secrets, but David's assured me that anybody that subscribes to the channel will come into goes to his shop, will get at least a 15% discount. So
over 3,000 people subscribed already, so there you go. That's a lot of haircuts, discounts. By the way, so you mentioned the strides that Maeda takes. David, you'll have seen this. Did you see Antonio Rudiger's weird strides when he was trying to keep up with that boy running down the wing?
Apparently he does that quite a lot. Apparently he did it quite a lot at Chelsea. See, a lot of people were saying that he was mocking the boy. When I first seen it, I wondered if he was just trying to get his almost running while attempting a block that might be coming in. That's what I thought he was trying to do. But then the way you watch it, you're just like, I think I'm just making up excuses for the guy, because it was quite bizarre. It was almost cartoonish.
I wonder if he was just to put the guy off, the Japanese players, try to put him off with some comedic running.
I think there was 2 things. I think one thing, he had an itchy arse and couldn't scratch it, so he tried to find a technique to get
holding a jobby.
He was doing that with his legs that high. Do you know something? See, the guy did cross the ball. He wouldn't have been able to succeed. I think the guy would have caught the ball with his legs were gone that fucking chaotic. They'd have caught the ball before it reached it. So maybe there's method to that, man.
Phil, did you see? I think his name's Kubo or something. He's a really small, really quite baby-faced Japanese winger, really tiny guy. And he got absolutely manhandled for Rudiger. He literally, he might as well have just picked him up and took him off the ball. That's how it looked. That guy's a monster, man. So I mean, Maeda must have been having flashbacks of the Real Madrid game when he was coming up against him.
He got his revenge, I suppose, against Rudiger, because obviously Maeda missed that chance early in the second half for us in the Champions League game. So there you go. He finally got one over him, I suppose. A few months later, I would rather he'd done it for Celtic, to be fair, against them, but he got one over Rudiger eventually. And also just quickly tying something else at World Cup, I saw a comment here from William Kennedy saying about Canada have been watching Celtic. They were really impressed. Obviously, we've got somebody on the bus, Liam Greenlaw, who is out in Canada, lives out in Vancouver. So Canada's kind of like the unofficial team of the Boise bus. We're kind of rooting for them, but they were really impressive last night. I mean, Belgium, I know they are regarded as one of the top teams, but I think age is catching up to Belgium a wee bit when you look at their players. They've still got Alderweireld and Vertonghen at the back, but I was really impressed with Canada's, the high press and the running and so forth. And they were unlucky, to be a few goals ahead, missing the penalty. Yep. But obviously, there's a name that's doing the rounds that were linked with Johnson, the right back, who was pretty impressive overall as well, along with the rest of the team. And of course, he does happen to play right fullback. So read into that what you will, obviously, because obviously Juranovic is a right back as well. So yeah, that's interesting, isn't it, Mark? That that name's doing the rounds last night. Because after the game had finished, I was saying to my dad, like, what did you think of Canada? And he went, tell you what, man, that right back was really good. To Johnson. And I was like, oh, funny you should mention that, because it's all over Twitter the night that apparently we're linked with him. So it's quite good that he singled him out. But that's something to read into there. Linked to a right back, one potentially looking to get out. But I don't know if you saw the Canada-Belgium game last night, Mark. I know you've not been like too first on the World Cup, but Canada did look good, and that boy did play pretty well for the most part.
Well, I've heard good things about Canada last night. The big guy in my work said they were playing really nice football, so that's quite encouraging, because if this guy was a big part of how they were playing last night, that'd be great. I mean, that boy you're talking about, right-sided winger, fullback, I think we need somebody to come in and push Ralston on, or even perhaps take the first choice jersey off him or whatever, because I think Juranovic is going to go. I think it's interesting though. I did see last night that they said they're in advanced talks. That's quite encouraging, because if this guy plays well in the World Cup, you never know who's going to come in and snap him up. You know what I mean? Like a Wolves or a Huddersfield or something like that. I've said for years now that Celtic must be the best scouts in Britain, because when Celtic want a player, anybody in their bracket talent scouting seem to come in and just fucking scoop them up away for us, you know what I mean? So that's good. Get them in early. Show them the colour of your money early. Get them in and let everybody else try and feed off the scraps. I like the way Celtic have at least on paper started the window. You know my feelings on the board and how much I distrust them.
Yeah.
So I'll hold off my excitement, but that's encouraging, mate. It's very encouraging.
Aye. I see Egyptian King here saying the boy Buchanan for Canada looked good. He did, and he plays for every hipster's favourite team at the moment, Club Bruges, I do believe. So now they've been doing really well in the Champions League. But so Canada have got a few decent players playing at a decent level this side of the Atlantic. Obviously, Davis is Bayern Munich. Well, he plays left back for Bayern Munich, but last night he was playing pretty much as a forward for Canada. But no, they did look impressive, and if that boy Johnson's on our radar, then yeah, that's good. But Ange said something just a couple of weeks ago about, you know, a lot of businesses already quite far down the road ahead of January. So again, we're heading into what looks like quite a busy one, David. But overall, is there anybody else at the World Cup? Just a wee bit of fun with this one, then we'll try and within reason, because obviously you can't just say like Neymar or somebody like that, because it's outside the realms of possibility. But is there anyone at the sort of smaller nations that's kind of stood out where you go, Celtic? I can imagine him at Celtic.
Well, I'm gonna let Mark answer this one just now, because I was actually keeping this for Sunday. Just a quick shameless wee plug here for Sunday. I will be taking over the reins on Sunday, and I've got a couple of things up my sleeve, and one of the topics of conversation is going to be some hidden gems that maybe we should be looking at the World Cup. So I'm going to let Mark answer this one just now, and I'm just going to be back in 2 seconds, because I will give you a wee taster of something that I think you might be interested in.
Okay, no worries.
There was a left-sided, I think he's an attacking midfielder. Alan McCoy's was bumming him up. A guy who plays for Ghana, number 20.
Oh, Ghana! That game was brilliant tonight with Portugal and Ghana. It was phenomenal, that match.
If that boy's not playing for a big club, I think he will be soon. The guy was outstanding. Number 20 is
okay.
Alan McCoy was saying that he was saying pre-match that he feels like I think he's getting played out of position. I think his manager thinks he should be playing further up the park, and he's agreeing. But seemingly the guy looked electric. I was very impressed with the guy. I don't know his name, but I think it may be Kudos.
It's Kudos, who plays for Ajax, and he did a number on Rangers this season in the Champions League.
I can forget that that green, but that guy, he will be playing for somebody big. That guy just looked electric. To be honest with you, I don't think Ange says many things by accident. I think he takes his time when he's speaking, and he said he's expecting in a couple of players. But then he did say, I don't know if he picked up on it, he did say, and maybe by watching a couple of people in the World Cup. So he was kind of like basically suggesting that there's people that's got to be playing the World Cup at some level, or at some capacity anyway. The Celtic are very interested in. That could be the Canadian boy. But what's this year?
He's upside down now. Wow. Land down under.
So Sunday's going to be like the bat show. I don't know. He's going to perform it in the guise of a bat.
Oh, here he is.
Am I upside down?
You were originally. That's what I thought. It was Australia land down under or something. I
thought I said it was.
Oh man. Well, while I'm making this to load up, I'll just give you a quick preview of what I'm planning on doing for Sundays moving forward. I know, Mark, you're still going to be coming on the Sunday Blether. I'm sure Regan's still going to be coming on, so don't worry.
David,
He's still going to be on it. I just don't think he can commit to all the times, so I think that's why I'll be taking the reins a wee bit. So the plans, what I'm planning on doing for Sundays is, I'm sure some of you have probably seen the like the Sunday supplement that was used to be on Sky. I don't know if it's on Sky anymore. So the plan is, I'm going to get up nice and early in the morning on a Sunday, and I'm going to grab just a couple of the papers, and I'm going to find some Celtic related conversations from them. And what I plan to do with the guys is to kind of go through the paper, go through the article, and find, just kind of break it down, probably critique it, well, most likely criticise it. Find out if it's got any legs, if there's any real substance to it, or if it's just complete utter nonsense. Another thing that I plan on doing for the bus is I'm going to call it the return ticket. And what the idea is, I'm going to, from each week, so obviously not tonight because I've been on this show, and obviously Mark's been on this show, I'm going to take a wee snippet from either like the Monday Club or maybe the Breakfast Bar or whatever show that happens to be on. And there'll be, at some point, somebody will always give just a wee off the cuff comment. Or if I don't find anything that's not worth snipping, I'll look through the comments of what's been said in the chat, and I'm going to use them as a topic of conversation. One of the things that Jono said on the Monday Club was discussing whether, should we be looking at the World Cup? Why is this not working? For any hidden gems.
I told you at the start of the technology, the gremlins are out to get us tonight, mate. So the way the show started, you try to get
when I saw that comment, I thought, right, I'm going to screen grab that, and I don't know if Phil, you'll know if there's a way that we can maybe replay that clip onto the bus live, or I might just have to just kind of play it over a microphone, or I'll maybe have to write it down and actually quote him. So basically, to answer your question, I have a few. I've basically done a wee bit of homework over this week to find if there's any hidden gems from the lower leagues that we Celtic fans maybe should be looking at. Okay. And I'm just going to give one just now. I'm going to keep the other three for Sunday, and I'll probably go over this one again for folk that maybe didn't see tonight's show. But I'm going to go with the shock candidates that were Saudi Arabia, who shocked the entire nation of Argentina and the world by obviously beating them 2-1. If I'll find the quote later for Sunday, but if we go back to last summer, Ange mentioned that he looks not just at Japan, but he looks at across all of Asia, and also looks at perhaps Saudi Arabia, and he says that there's plenty of players out there who he thinks could play in Europe easily.
Right.
One of those players that I think he might have been alluding to was the goal scorer Nasir Al-Dossari. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right there. He currently plays in Saudi Arabia, and he plays for Club Al Hilal. Hopefully I'm not absolutely butchering that. So I've had a wee look at his profile, and this is just what they say about him, provided by The Guardian. They've done a column this week looking at every single player that's playing in the World Cup this year. Every single one of them has a profile. So I'm just going to give a quick quote from this one. Al-Dossari has yet to reach his mid-20s, but is almost into double digits for major silverware at Al Hilal. He also lashed home within 16 seconds of the 2021 AFC Champions League decider against South Korea's Pohang Steelers. He's the fastest strike in the competition's history, coming on as an emergency left back. He's since developed into a reliable centre midfield option for club and country. Now, he is currently on the transfer market valued, and I don't know how accurate this is, 700k. Now, I know.
Don't get me started on that website. Don't. They transfer fees.
So I'll take that with a pinch of salt. Don't know if he'd be worth a hell of a lot more than that, especially after we'll see how this World Cup goes. But that's just one player that kind of stuck out. Like, I mean, he's getting the nickname the Tornado. He's apparently the golden boy of Saudi Arabian football. Now, if that's the case, he's surely one of these players that Ange has had his eye on. Whether it's he would fit in at Celtic, who knows? But like you said, it's just a bit of fun. That's just one player that I've picked out of some of the teams that I've watched this season. I'm going to keep the rest for Sunday. Sure. Which one of them I will give a wee hint as he is the boy that was picked ahead of Kyogo as the replacement for the injured striker that they had originally called up.
Okay, interesting. I look forward to
Well,
seeing
can I
that.
just say about that player that David just mentioned there? I think he gets sent off for trying to headbutt beating the referees. To see the Scottish referee
He
beating
did. That video was doing the rounds the
John
other
Beaton.
day.
He tried to headbutt him, and anybody that tries to headbutt John Beaton should automatically get a Celtic jersey.
Contract for life.
Any qualms? I mean,
Yeah.
anybody who's got that much distaste for that cheating bastard is
Sorry,
worth the
my bad.
captaincy.
They
As far as
kept
I'm
that one
concerned.
quiet though, didn't they? Sneaking him out there for that to referee a game in Saudi Arabia. That was like a year ago. They kept that one really quiet. Like
Maybe he's gave Rangers a penalty that he should never something and they've been forced to actually send them out in a training course. Or maybe it's been a VAR course. Maybe he's been out there doing VAR and that's been part of the VAR training.
Oh jeez.
I know
learned much there.
Well, he's the advocate for VAR. He's one of the ones. He's a poster boy for VAR just now for some fucking reason. I don't know, but I look forward to that, David. That'll be good. I'm still be on the Sunday show as much as possible. I've got issues on getting time off work, etc. But I'll be there. I mean, I can't let down the 500,000 fans that I've got. If you tune in a Sunday and just see you, David, they're going to switch off, mate. They're there to see Mark Kearney. Sorry to say that,
the judge.
No, that's fair enough, mate. The judge, the jury, the whole shebang, and I'm just
when they walk out the barbers, they expect to see you, mate. See if they see me, they walk out or not. So I'll give you a due there.
Well, David, if you're going to go down the route of the Sunday supplement for Sky Sports, I hope you've got a bowl of fake plastic fruit on the table, some croissants and orange juice as well, mate, because that was a staple. That was a staple, mate, on Sunday supplement. But I look forward to that, mate, and seeing the more of your shortlist. And but as well, I mean, every manager, if has to be watching the World Cup and keeping tabs on it, and Ange will be no different at all. So he's definitely keeping his eye on it, and yeah, he doesn't say things just for like show. When he is talking about a year ago, talking about like Iranians and stuff and the Swedish league, he looks at obscure markets and the lower down teams at this World Cup. You know, they're within our sort of like price range and that, because in fact the morning night I'm doing Bustalgia on the 2010 World Cup, and when I was putting my notes together I was looking for Celtic connections. At that World Cup there were 3 players that we signed in that summer alone. Emilio Ezagiri was at that World Cup with Honduras, Chad Uri was at that World Cup with South Korea, and Efren Juarez was at that World Cup with Mexico. We signed all 3 of them off the back of that tournament. So every manager's always got their eyes on the World Cup or the Euros when it's on. Ange will be no different. So you just don't know what we gems he's looking at just now, and it's quite exciting to think about it. Now, obviously, I'm talking about Ange there, manager. I guess we need to go to this one. I seen a comment come up a minute ago, so we'll try not to spend too much talking about them, because I know some people in the chat do get a bit like, stop talking about them. But obviously, Gary Brown has said that Sky Sports are saying that Sefco seek permission to speak to Beale. It's looking very, very likely that our enemy across the city is going to have a new manager in place soon. Mark, did you think it would be as quick a turnaround? Because there is a theory that a few weeks ago he was in attendance at one of their games, and it wasn't, well, I don't think he was there as a fan, as many people thought. He was clearly there to speak to them, because the turnaround tells me that he's gave them assurances, they've gave him assurances. The minute Gio was gone, a bit like how Brendan Rodgers was sort of tapped up as well at Leicester. Very quick turnaround indicates there's been moves in place before Gio got the sack. So do we fear Beale if he comes in? Are we worried, Mark? How are you feeling about that?
Well, I think football is full of dark alleys and secret phone calls, mate. I think these things don't just happen when players become available and managers become available. I think people do talk when they're not supposed to. When I was at Ibrox, when we beat Rangers, and the big screen showed you Gerrard sitting in the padded chairs at Ibrox. He was at the game, and it came out about 3 or 4 months later that was the first time he spoke about the Rangers job was at that match. So that's probably what's happened there. He's been invited up and he's kicked the tyres, and he's wanted to see what's happening. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's probably not going to be a popular thing to say, but I'm very, very impressed with Beale. I thought the guy was an outstanding coach for Rangers. I do think he was the driving force behind Gerrard stopping Celtic for Antonio. And listen, you can sit there and say they won 1 trophy out of 11. That's a fact. But Celtic were that strong at that point. It was never going to be a case of them coming in and just winning the title straight away. that was going to need a lot of transitions. Going to need a lot of players to come in, fall by the wayside, start again every summer and every window. I think he was a huge part of Rangers progressing. I think he was the one that was making. I think his in-play management is really impressive. See when his in-play stuff. I mean, I had Celtic fans saying he's only got one system. That always annoys me. I mean, see, you get coaching patches, they fling 50 different scenarios to you. You need to do like presentations on how you would come out of this situation, or at least talk about it. You know, how the bog standard ideas. You know what I mean? Where like you pull it off, I know a different thing altogether. But no manager's only got one philosophy, one style, or one idea. They'll get a philosophy and how they want to play football, tailored to the players they've got. I think that Beale brought the best out of every player that he had at Rangers, and he will improve Rangers just now. The flip side to that is, and the thing that makes me confident is, I think we've got a manager who's a match, if no by far and away better than them. We've got a better squad of players, in my opinion. We've got more money in the bank, so we can strengthen on top of that. I feel like Celtic are still on the crest of their wave just now. So, but Rangers are on a downward trajectory just now, but they're going to go back up eventually. That's just how football works. It just goes up and down. The Celtic Rangers, I've seen it all. I've seen them finish third behind Hearts, and then win the league a couple of years later. I've seen it all. I mean, so I think Beale's a great appointment for them. I think he'll do very, very well at Rangers. If that well is going to be good enough to beat Celtic over a season, I've got doubts. But that man is definitely somebody who is a very, very good coach, very good manager, in my opinion, for what that's worth.
Well, David, I'll come to you because Gary Brown says as long as Celtic do their stuff, they can get anybody they want. So you have that opinion where as long as we just do what we're still doing just now and just keep making moves that we're doing with early transfer windows coming up, get stuff done early, just keep on being proactive rather than reactive. Do you think we'll be all right, David? In the end.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. I get where you're coming from, Mark. I don't know if I've seen enough of Beale to suggest he's a good manager. I believe he's a good coach. He's obviously, like you said, that Rangers team needed time to build and get the foundations right, to have a squad of players that were able to compete and obviously then overturn Celtic in one of our most important seasons. I have to question his loyalty. The guy left halfway through a season with Gerrard to go to Aston Villa. Then half a season he left Aston Villa to go to QPR. And then half a season at QPR he's ready to go back to Rangers. This is a guy I think that, now he turned down Wolves a month ago. And I quote, I want to show the loyalty to QPR that they have shown in me and the faith that they've shown in me. Yeah, that's because you want to go to a Premier League club that are definitely going down next season and you're sitting quite rosy at the top of the Championship. Only a month later you're sitting 7th. I think he shut the bed at QPR. Yeah. I think he's got an escape route. He's obviously been given assurances that he's going to be getting to spend money. Has to have. I don't see any other reason why he has, unless he just wants to. He doesn't want to have the risk of QPR going further and further down. I think he's lost 5 games on the bounce. He's won 8 games at 21, from what I think I've seen today. That's not that impressive as a manager. People can be great coaches, but but QPR are meant to be up there, the top one of the best teams in the Championship. He's got one of the biggest budgets in the Championship, as far as I'm aware. I mean, he's probably got reassurances that as long as he can sign Lyndon Dykes, that'll be the first. Honestly, I think that'll be one of the first signings you're going to see come the Rangers. I think he'll bring up Lyndon Dykes. Look, what I'm getting at is he's a good coach. Do we have Celtic have anything to fear? I don't think so. He's got a big uphill battle. He's going to lose Ryan Kent and Morelos in January, if not the summer. I don't see them signing on just because Michael Beale's coming back. So I think they're away. They've got a 9-point head start against them. They've got players out injured. Who knows what kind of budget he's going to have to sign anybody. I don't know if they've got the patience to keep hold of him. And if he does seem to do very well, he'll not be there very long because he seems to be quite highly rated down south. You're not getting a Premiership club like Wolves interested in you if they don't rate you. So, but no, I'm not. A long story short, as long as we keep doing what we're doing, we've got nothing to worry about, if I'm being honest. But that's my tuppence about Michael Beale. I might end up having this shoved down my throat and they go on and overturn a 9-point deficit and beat us, but I don't see that happening.
No, I don't see that happening as well.
But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about him coming. If he comes in, bring it on. But I don't.
We
There's
hold
a
the
few Rangers
cards,
fans
David.
that I spoke to today who are quite. Sorry, Mark. Are quite. You know, they're a bit underwhelmed. I think some of them aren't actually that as excited about them as social media might make you think. I think a lot of guys that I spoke to today, and I've got a lot of Rangers fans, were clients. Where my work is, a lot of Rangers supporters, and a lot of them said they think it's quite a cheap option. I think they were hoping. I don't know if they're a bit deluded. They're hoping that they were going to get the Southampton manager, the ex-Southampton manager, or Sean Dyche. But
did David Hasselhoff was it? That,
Aye, Hasselhoff.
Aye. I mean, they were after the guy. Is it Boz? The guy who was in charge of Leverkusen.
He was the Dortmund and Ajax manager. Yeah.
David Hasselhoff, mate. Don't get us wrong.
David Hasselhoff, fucking hell, mate.
They wanted the balls tickled, mate.
There's a few tits in that. Listen, I'm with David. I hope that they fall fucking flat in their face. Of course. And he's got a lot of good points here. I mean, I've not saw him manage right, but I didn't know within the game he's got a big reputation. I didn't know that he was. I think Real Madrid were looking at him as a coach at some point in his early career. I think they were quite interested in him. I remember reading that or hearing that when he was at Rangers. But what he did say, he was also quoted in saying a wee while back that if he got the Rangers job put to him, he said he'd find it very, very hard to knock back. I think he did definitely say that. So, to be honest with you, don't forget, Duff walked out on us. Damien Duff walked out on us. To see if Damien Duff turned out to be a fantastic manager, we'd probably have the same people in our fan base saying, "Oh God, it sounds cheap, it sounds lazy, walked out on us." But seeing football, there's no loyalty. If Henry Larsson was playing nowadays, let's put this into perspective. If Henry Larsson was on 50 grand a week at Celtic 17, 18 years ago, see the very highest players in the world were on 60 and 70. So we were able to keep him. See now, he would be a 190 grand a week player.
Yes.
And I love Henrik Larsson, and the guy was loyal to Celtic, and he knocked back a lot of money to leave Celtic and all the rest of it. But do you know something? Loyalty started to die out. Look at Kieran Tierney, supposed Celtic fan, and probably no bigger Celtic fan than me, you, or Carl McGregor, or Anthony Ralston is, but he seemed to be the poster boy for Celtic fans because he had a microphone out talking to the Green Brigade a couple of times. But the minute Arsenal flashed their arse at him, he was in there with his trousers down, you know what I mean? No doubt about it. I'm going to be honest with you, see if there's any player in world football that isn't up for sale emotionally, spiritually, or any other way, then I'm calling my liar to their face. Every manager, every player's got a price. You know, I spoke about this. As Postecoglou, he's got a wife and a family, right? Can you imagine he got offered the Burnley job for 115 grand a week? Do you think if he could say it to his wife and says to his wife, I'm on 18 grand a week at Celtic, but I knocked back 115 grand a week this morning, he'd be kicked out. His wife would kick him out the window. You know what I mean? No doubt about that. He wouldn't even get to breakfast time in that house, right? So let's be honest. I mean, every cunt's got a price, and me too, mate. I mean, I'll go to fuck Ibrox for a Rangers scarf if you give me 10 grand a week. For fuck's sake. Well, I probably wouldn't. I couldn't sit amongst the cunts. I really couldn't. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I'll do off that price.
We've all got a price, mate. I mean, of course.
I'd be off the Axom if I got paid enough.
Listen, mate, I'd be off the Axom for one of these zippers that they had Boise wearing. They bother me. I'd be there in 2 seconds flat. I'd be there.
Boise did look good in his zippies, to be fair.
He did, mate. He did.
He just needed to be cutting his hair at the time. He looked better.
He did, man. He did a wee bit of fresh trim. Don't forget, other Suki Arse podcasts are available.
Good disclaimer, Mark. I like it, mate.
Yes.
If you disclaimer at the end there.
Just keep it honest, mate. Just keep it honest.
Aye.
Dude, I can't actually wait. See, see when they offer us fan media access, and I gotta get the first question. It's like the burning issue. Players need drap, players need boat, and I'm going to go like that. Ange, what's your favourite restaurant in Glasgow? That's that kind of way to ask him. So I can be like the rest of the fucking tits.
Oh, yes.
But one or two of them ask decent questions, but other than that, it's like, Ange, I heard you're talking to, is Australia really big? Is it really sunny? Is it as nice as what they say on telly? Do you know Madge Bishop? You know what I mean? All that shit. I just can't be asked with.
Oh, God.
And that accent, that is one of them, by the way. Getting phone call to Don Mackay, fuck's sake.
Oh, man.
So,
Yep.
Look how that fucking lasted, God's sake.
Don Mackay, was that a fever dream? Did we all imagine that? Was it 10 weeks or something?
Mate,
But
do you know
such
what?
a bizarre
He
part
was. I mean,
he shot the bed.
He was a daddy, man. The first time I saw him speak, I went, he looks like a politician. No, he looked like a privately educated Tory, to be quite honest with you. And I thought,
turned
you
up
just
in a
look
blue
like
suit.
Well, don't forget, his very first. I said this. I don't know if it was on this pod or another pod. I said that this guy was a PR specialist, right? That was his background, and his very, very first day at Celtic, he showed up to Celtic Park in a blue suit. Yeah, I don't know what made him think that was a good idea. I wear blue every day. I wear blue. I don't give a fuck. But as a PR specialist, to think I wear blue. If he wore a green suit, I think he'd be trying too hard, to be quite honest with you. But to wear a blue suit on your first day as a Celtic CEO, it was just ridiculous, mate.
You know what I mean? I can't criticise because I get flack in the chat sometimes because you might have noticed that my headset lights up blue when I plug into the computer.
Dude,
that's all the lights. I do get a bit of flack for that.
I want to ask you this every week, right? See behind you, right? What is that Celtic thing behind you? Is it a surfboard? What the fuck is that? What is that?
That behind me? That's just a flag just hanging over a cabinet with a light inside it, so the light shines through the flag.
Oh, brilliant! What a prop!
I found it in the house and I was like,
to ride this Boise bus
surfboard
wave.
Me surfing. The only surfing I do is surfing the web, mate. That's what I do. No surfing, no chance.
The dark web.
No, it is. He's getting his Ange props up. He'll have the wee hats with a cock in it next, soaked in alcohol to scare away the flies. Aye.
Oh, right. Ryan Taylor's wishing I get earache now from my blue headset. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, but yeah, there's a blue light in it. But while Mark, how about we Judge Kearney segment you said before the show? We'll get the Judge Kearney. Nice. So while Mark's going to do his Judge Kearney, then we'll do some quick fire questions afterwards. So get your comments in. But first things first, if Judge Kearney's coming up, you know what that means?
Oh, the wee bit, yeah. Oh, a bit of bad one there. That must have been a kebab I had. Do you know what it is, mate? I've been watching this virtual signalling on ITV and BBC for these commentators that are just so happy to take the money, but then go over there and feel obliged to give a wee cameo 25-second spiel about how their morals were put down a notch because they had to go to Qatar and do a World Cup. I want to tell you something. I seen Roy Keane speak about this yesterday, and he got a lot of good press on YouTube, on Twitter because of it, and he get a lot of people saying how good he was. It's a guy who's doing working for Sky, working for ITV, guys who work media companies who are all connected with the BBC and things like that. People who totally spoke down about the hunger strikers in the BBC and how Maggie Thatcher was doing the right things to let these people die in their prison cells for not giving them the right to wear their own clothes. This is a guy who played for Ireland, Republic of Ireland captain. Where his morals go to when he's taking money out of the BBC and ITV and Sky? You know what I mean? Who's he chatty kid? There's a woman commentator. She was asked a question, like, why are you here? And she said, oh, I love football that much that I feel like I'm obligated to come over here and showcase it to the best of my abilities. See her Instagram profile, see 2 years before it, she's chatting about the beach in a bikini and guitar, having a holiday.
Yeah.
These same people are over in Qatar in 5-star hotels, right? Being being catered hand and foot by folk on £2 a month, jumping about in private jets, private limousines, attending these VIP lounges in stadiums that 3,000 people died trying to build, and they're sitting there telling me and you that we shouldn't be having a World Cup in Qatar because of their stance on homophobia and things like that. A quarter of all the countries in the World Cup have got anti-gay laws in their country. Almost 30% of them have got anti-gay laws.
Mm.
Why Qatar's been isolated or picked on, or not picked on, they're fucking animals, but why they've been targeted to be like this monster when the rest of the quarter of them are fine. I mean, is Britain a fantastic? Have we got a good history?
No.
We've invaded. Well, I don't know we. They don't do it on my name or behalf of me, but Britain's invaded almost every country in the world. Pillaged everywhere. You know what I mean? Celebrate the war like it was something to be joyous about when it was a horrible thing that shouldn't have happened. Cunts abseiling off the Ibrox Stadium and putting fake tanks in the middle of the road and shooting cannons into the air when there's 60 million people died in a war that shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Who they try to kid? I mean, you got Gary Lineker.
Right? That's what I was going to say. Yep, Gary Lineker. That's
absolute fucking tit sitting there. That's the guy who's got somebody waiting up to hours of the night to drive him by limousine to the BBC studios and back, so he can sit and have a wee drink in the green room after doing the match of the day. Some guy's sitting there not knowing what time he's going to get home at. Yep. This has morals on that. You know what I mean? And they're sitting there fucking. Oh, honestly, see that I watch it. They should just say from the very beginning. Listen, see the very first time a ball was kicked in qualification, every team that attended that endorsed that tournament. Every one of them endorsed it. The minute they tried to qualify for that, it was endorsed. And I tell you something right now. See if Scotland playing that World Cup, it would be Qatar 2022 souvenir T-shirts being sold in probably every JD shop in Scotland. You know what I mean? And see the team that wins it will be Qatar 2022 will be the greatest moment in the history of their nation, sport wise. There's no kid on it, isn't it? I mean, there was supposed to be a legacy when they done the World Cup. I think it was in Brazil a few years ago. I think it was a very poor part of the country. You had people begging in the streets next to £500 million stadiums, and they were saying there's got to be a legacy. And they were showing you videos of like, people struggling. I mean, honestly, begging in the streets. They couldn't even. And you get football players like Rio Ferdinand sitting on the beach, sipping £50 cocktails. Yep. And there's folk 10 feet away from him drinking the salty water. You know what I mean? Because they're that thirsty. I just don't buy it, mate. I think they all need to take a look at themselves. They should all just put their hands up there and just say, look, I'm a football person. I'm an employee. My employers asked me to come here. I'm handsomely paid. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not my problem. And that's all I want to say. It's not really a rant. It's just... Yeah. If I hear one there cunt virtue signaling about this World Cup, I'm going to put the cunts on mute.
Yeah, it's I mean, what's stopping them to have been broadcasting from the UK the entire time and just use live satellite pictures? I know in America, like Fox Sport and stuff are obviously still back in studios in America doing it. It was really weird. The very opening game, Gary Lineker did a big speech at the very start about what happened, and you've got the backdrop of the stadium, and it's like, well, thousands of people died building that stadium that you're sitting in. You know, the workers' rights talking about, you know, people died, and it's like, it's really hard to like take it seriously when you've came out here for the, you know, for the actual tournament. You could have easily just stayed in the BBC studios in England and just broadcast from there, and that would set a stronger message. I know what you mean about the one with Alex Scott, where she wore the rainbow armband while doing the coverage, because obviously Harry Kane and Gareth Bale got threatened with a booking, and they backed down from it. And there was things saying, well, when she goes on holiday to United Arab Emirates that have similar laws to Qatar, she's more than happy to, like, you know, lounge about on the beach and stuff like that. And it's like, well, they've got all the exact same laws as Qatar and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, so it's a real imbalance here. And it goes back to something I said on Sunday Blair a few weeks ago. Obviously, I'm a big F1 fan. if you want to send a message to these people, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, all these countries that host an F1 race, instead of like Lewis Hamilton wearing a race helmet that's painted in the LGBT flag colours, just don't turn up. Just that'll get their attention more. And it's the same
very
10,
quickly.
12 years ago when it was announced that Qatar were going to host this, and in 2015 when FIFA decided, actually, we're going to have to make this World Cup midway through your domestic seasons, that's when a lot of these FAs should have kicked up and said, we're not sending the German team, we're not sending the Spanish team. That would have got their attention. But as you say, Mark, the minute a ball was kicked in anger to qualify for this tournament, you endorsed it. You essentially endorsed it. That's what they did. You know, they went along with it, and here they all are now out there playing in it, and it's like...
For 12 years. For 12 years to say something about it, and they haven't said a word until the last 6 weeks. It's like, oh shit, all right, right enough. It's coming up now. We better say something. But like you say, everything they say loses all meaning when they're literally there. Like, doesn't matter what Gary Lineker said at the start. All I could think was, but you're there, mate. But you're there. You're part of you're part of the whole thing. If you've chosen to go over there and broadcast from it, then you're part of the problem that you're preaching. Like it's beggars belief that any one of them can actually get on their soapbox and say anything critical about it. Like, it shouldn't be out there. It shouldn't be happening. But it is, and you've chose to take the money and go out there and just like you say, Mark, just go out there and say, well, I'm a football pundit. I get paid handsomely to do it. I'm going to do it because I enjoyed my job. Am I happy about where it is? Nah, but that's just part and parcel of the job that I do. I sometimes have to go places that I don't really feel that I want to go to. But Alex, I don't think they feel that strongly about it. I feel they're just, we're going to have to make some sort of stance.
We're going to say so. Well, David, see, the thing is, see, like guys like you with a business, there was restrictions put on you through the pandemic. Where was the moral outcry when Scotland decided to host matches in Euro 2000? There was games at Hampden with 17,000, 18,000 people in it, and you couldn't attend a funeral with more than 20 folk at it.
That's right.
Where was the moral outcry on that? Where was the morality in that? You know, I mean, people lost their careers, people lost their loved ones, everything. COVID was a horrible thing, and we're still trying to get out of it. But where was the morality and fans and delegates travel? I don't forget. See, the delegates, by the way, I don't know if you remember this. The delegates were told they didn't have to test. There was an outcry on that. Where was the morality in that? They can just go and fuck off, as far as I'm concerned, sitting there telling us how as David said, it's almost like they've got to say something. I think sometimes when you don't say anything, you almost you put yourself in a bracket where you say, do you know what? I've not got a moral high ground here. That's their problem. I've got a job to do. But see the minute you address that, I mean, you had the guy who's in charge now. I'm gay. I'm a workie. Some of the biggest shit you've ever seen in your life. You know what I mean? Donald Trump must have wrote that speech for him. It was ridiculous. It was, and I think he made it worse.
Yep.
See, if he ignored the issue, you say, right, he's ignoring the issue. That's the stance they're going to take. It's all about the football. And as I said, Roy Keane, I mean, look at the way like the media in this country treated the people in Ireland for years. A country that he grew up as part of the Troubles and played for the country and kissed the badge. And he's sitting there accepting money off of like media companies that are backed to the hilt by the same cunts that were dishing out horrible things about the people that died in the hunger strike and their stance on Bloody Sunday, everything you can imagine how they reported it. I mean, Hillsborough, look at the way that was reported. That was reported even in the press, not just the Sun, in the press for many a time that the fans were somehow to blame for that.
Yep.
But these same folk, they'll sit on a panel and they set money off of these companies. But the minute there's a company that they deem that they can't be seem to be endorsing, they'll take the £1 million 2-week contract and sit there with their Gucci shoes on and tell us that they're above what's happening behind them. I just don't buy it, mate.
There's a good comment there. I think it's Polymorphous. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name there right
I'll try and
properly,
find
but
it.
he put up a comment that said that they backed away from doing the whole armband thing on the fear of getting a booking, but they have no problem of getting a booking for taking their shirt off and celebrating.
Yeah.
Now, if you
That's
felt
true.
that strongly about no, we're deaf, we're going to wear the armband, we feel like that's a really strong message to put across. We're going to make our captain wear the armband, right? Then you take the booking, because, like you said, if you're happy, oh, it's fine. Celebrate. It's all part of the game. Celebrate, take a shot. If he got lost in the moment, he scored at the World Cup. That's fine. But you're not willing to take a booking for something that you apparently stand really strong for. And I'm sure they do stand for LGBTQ rights. Of course, and so they should. But don't be so weak on the stance. If you're worried that I don't want Harry Kane getting a booking because we can't afford to, in case he gets booked, just give the captaincy to somebody else then. Just give it to one of your players that you're not as overly fussed about if he takes a booking. Like there's ways around it, or just use the manager wear some sort of, just wear it.
There you go. Ryan Taylor says Southgate could have worn it. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Southgate could have worn it. Yeah, but it's just a piece of clothing.
Well, David, I'll go one further. See, FIFA. They've got no stipulations or no authorisation to tell you what strip you have to wear. England, Ireland, Scotland, anybody for that matter, could have had a full rainbow strip if they wanted to, emblazoned that for the full world to see, and no country could have, no FIFA could have said anything about it. Is they felt that
not
strong?
Something that Scotland did recently, or was it England? It was definitely one of the home nations were told they weren't allowed to do something. What was it now?
Well, I can tell you this, see at the World Cup right now, Belgium's away kit has got the LGBT flag on the Adidas stripes, and they've got the word love embroidered on the inside of the collar on their away kit. And FIFA have told them that they can't wear it until basically they remove the word love from it. So Belgium have said, fine, we'll wear our home kit for all of our games. If we need to wear our away kit in the knockout stages, we'll deal with it then. But they've basically told them that they can't wear that now, even though Adidas would have, gave them the kit well before the World Cup and they would have known this was coming. It does feel like a lot of rules have kind of changed at the 11th hour before this tournament kicked off, because I get the feeling a lot of FAs and that were given assurances and FIFA were given assurances, and it feels like at the last minute a lot of things have now changed and it's caused a lot of carnage. But that's the latest one I saw the other day was Belgium's away kit apparently is offensive, so they've been told that either they can't wear it or they have to get it changed somehow, and I don't think Adidas can really get it all made up for them in time for them to play whatever game they need to in the next couple of days. So, yeah.
Well, don't forget, I don't know if you watched the programme on Netflix and I used to. There was a programme about how FIFA was corrupt with things like with the dishing out the contracts back in the day. Adidas are a very, 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 they're in the fabric of the World Cup. They've got the World Cup sewn up so much that they will dance to Adidas's tune with a lot of things. The match balls and all the rest. They've got that. That's everything Adidas have got a lot of control over, and I think that goes back to the 70s. I think they've had all this. So Adidas could have probably stood their ground as well and done something about it, but they've no. But do you know something? That's fine. See in the Euro '96, did the Switzerland agree with England's stance in Argentina? And Malvinas, you know what I mean? Did blowing up the Belgrano when it was the war crime to blow up a ship, a retreating ship was leaving, and the Belgrano was leaving, and was doing a U-turn, and England blew it up. Did the Switzerland or Argentina, did they agree with that stance? No, they didn't. But they came in and played football. You know what I mean?
There was parents of players begging not to. The FA's begging them not to take them to Argentina, I'm sure. They were writing letters, please don't send our boys to play. But we've got a football game. Got a football game to play.
Well, this is it, mate. It's fucking. It's a hypocrisy. It's just a site, mate.
It just seems to be whatever suits the agenda at the time.
It's full outrage. We'll forget all about it when the next thing comes up. This is what people do now. We find something to fixate on that we're absolutely appalled at and sickened at, and we'll let Twitter know and we'll let the world know of how disgusted we are, and then we'll suddenly go, oh, here's something new to be disgusted at. Look, take this for example, right? This is totally off topic, right? But does everyone remember when Notre Dame went on fire?
And
there was people donating a lot of money to get it fixed.
Yeah.
The absolute outrage that people were having, that because people were paying money to get a very important building, whether you are into all that kind of stuff or not, like there's you can go down that route if you want, right? But people were absolutely outraged, were sick and disgusted, all over Twitter, absolutely fuming. Then the next thing came literally 2 days later, and everybody forgot all about Notre Dame. Now that's good, and all the people paying money to fix Notre Dame and not paying to feed the homeless and yada yada, right?
Yeah.
Because suddenly the next thing comes along and they just completely forget and they completely fix it. That's the new thing that they're absolutely outraged by. So see, when the World Cup's over, something's going to happen at the end of December that's going to absolutely outrage the entire world. And we'll forget all about everything that happened in Saudi Arabia. Qatar. We'll forget everything that's happened in Qatar, all the outrage of not wearing armbands and banning Adidas strips and rainbow colours. Like, they'll forget all about it because somebody else will do something equally as horrific. And that's just how we as human beings operate now. We're just our attention spans aren't long enough. Hence why you probably not listening to what I've said.
Has been brainwashed. Aye. Somebody said in the comments earlier, just as society nowadays, we're brainwashed. It's the social media day and age.
You're told what to not like. You are told by Twitter what you're not supposed to like. The guy needs to just worry about his own home and what and morals of his own family before he starts questioning.
What the morals of his brother, and that's all I'm saying on that one. But anyway, guys, yes. On that note, we went for an hour and 10. I did say beforehand if there's any Celtic, there isn't many Celtic topics to talk about, but don't worry, guys. That doesn't mean that the channel's going to be slowing down, because tomorrow night, yes, I will be back on to do Bustalgia Friday night. If you've only discovered Bustalgia during the season, and there's also been Celtic season I've been doing it, fun fact, it actually started as a World Cup concept show. Myself and Russell went through World Cups and Euros of our time, and we got up to Euro 2008, and then we had to stop because the season started, and we obviously concentrated on the Celtic stuff. But now, within this little mid-season World Cup break, we're going to go back and talk about some of the World Cups we didn't do back in the summer, and we're starting with the 2010 World Cup tomorrow night. So that one's on the agenda with me, Liam, and I believe Russell will be coming on to join us. Keep that going, because Russell did all the shows with me in the summer, so we'll be back on for that. And then at the weekend, it'll be the new and improved, shiny Sunday Blair with David Lowe, the new captain hosting.
I wouldn't say improved. I'm
looking forward to seeing all these new ideas, mate. And I say, you better have the bowl of plastic fruit, mate. That's crucial, man. You know, Mark wants his croissants, mate, so you better have them there, nice and toasty.
I want a nice plastic Danish pastry.
So, you better about the judge's wishes there, mate, or else, man, you'll be getting ranted about next week on the Judge Kearney.
I'll be slagging him like fuck. Need to about it, mate.
So yeah, that's coming up, and then Monday obviously we'll be back for it again at the start of the week. It'll be Monday Club again, and off we go again till this World Cup break is over. Then the content will be picking up again when Celtic are back playing. But hopefully we get some more news about new signings and whatnot. But until then, we're out of here. So hopefully the Gremlins don't play up on the outro as well, because it's just as they get is the night. But we'll power through. But no, thanks everybody for watching. As I say, tomorrow night, back on again with Bustalgia, so check that out. If you've not watched any of our World Cup ones yet, then be sure to swing by and check that one out. And Mark, David, it's been a pleasure as always, guys, and we shall head out, so catch you all later, folks.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.